What is going on, everyone? Welcome into Football Talk, Big Time Football Talk, excuse me. So I want to get to this. I want to talk about NFL draft players that I love. It may not be the best player it may not be the guy that I think is the best player of the position, but it's a guy that I think is just, his attributes and what he'll bring to the table in the NFL, I absolutely love. So, yeah, I wanted to get to that, and we'll do my mock draft, what I think the teams will do. Not what I would do, but what I think the NFL teams will do. So we'll get to players I love, and then we'll get to my mock draft. Starting with players I love, we're going to go offense and defense here. So starting at quarterback, it's Matt Corral from Ole Miss. Why do I love Matt Corral? Throws darts, throws with accuracy, can step on the pocket, knows how to scramble, knows how to make plays, outside of structure when, protection breaks down. Matt Corral, just an outstanding football player. And, great career at Ole Miss, highly touted coming out of high school. And, you saw him play well in big games last year against Alabama. And you saw him, win a lot of football games for Ole Miss. And, like he said in the interview with Floria, he was, Ole Miss didn't really have the better talent in a lot of games. And he said, he didn't say this directly, but he kind of said it without saying it, that, his leadership and, their ability to step up and play well kind of got him over the top against teams that they, really didn't think they were as talented as. So, leadership quality, sounds like he's a good kid, comes from a good family, ability to throw accurately, ability to throw, deep down the field with arm strength is why I love Matt Corral, and he's moved up to my number one quarterback. Running back, Zamir White. Why do I like Zamir White? He looks to punish people, and he's got a tremendous build, thick, very muscular build, very lean build, and, can make big runs, ran 4.4 at the combine. And is a guy that, had a good career at Georgia, dealt with some injuries, and just kept coming back stronger. And, outstanding football player, and was a key piece to the national title run this year. One of many Georgia players. Running back, Dameon Pierce from Florida. Pierce is a violent runner like Zamir White. That's why I love Dameon Pierce. And, just plays so hard and just is fearless out in the football field. I think his game will translate well to the NFL. Has a really good ability to make people miss. Doesn't have home run speed or like elite level acceleration, but it's pretty good acceleration and ability to the stop start ability and quickness is very, very good. Solid at best, or solid at the very least. So, like what Dameon Pierce brings to the table. At receiver, I got Christian Watson and I have George Pickens. Both these guys are tremendous athletes. Christian Watson, it's size, it's speed, it's power. There's really nothing not to like about Christian Watson. Didn't really play against the best competition in North Dakota State, but to me, I think he's shown enough that his game will translate well to the NFL, and he'll be an outstanding receiver for whoever drafts him in the National Football League. George Pickens, like Watson, but not quite as fast. Watson was a 4.36. Pickens runs in the 4.4, but Pickens showed he was plenty fast, and he's a tremendous athlete. One of the top recruits coming out of high school. I love the body control with Pickens. Like when he runs a curl route, his ability to stop his feet and just, kind of snap the route off and just stop on a dime is incredible. And, George Pickens can make contested catches, just the body control, the ability to, kind of just turn his body into just awkward angles is, and make catches is just unreal. And he can dive and make deep catches down the field, and big plays in big games. The national title game, he made a big play last year in the Sugar Bowl against Cincinnati. He made a big play. So big plays and big games, burst onto the scene as a freshman, tremendous athlete, checking a lot of boxes for George Pickens. Other than the ACL injury, there's really not much not to like about George Pickens and Christian Watson. At tight end, Greg Dulcich. Why do I love Greg Dulcich? He plays very hard, and he's a guy that's, dealt with some adversity, had to switch positions at UCLA, switched to tight end, had that conversation with Chip Kelly, and a guy that's really made the most of that opportunity and did well at the combine. Good career at UCLA. He's a very good very good catcher of the football, plays hard, plays tough. And, most people have him as a top 3. Even some people have him as their number 1 tight end in the NFL draft. So, like Greg Dulcich a lot from UCLA. Offensive tackle. Some people aren't as high on this guy as me, but it's Daniel Falalay from Minnesota. And Falalay, I'm big on the ability to anchor. Falalay is so good at anchoring. He almost never gets pushed back. The Ohio State game really stood out to me. Zach Harrison, Jack Sawyer, JT Tamalale. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but some of the big, strong defensive ends at Ohio State, couldn't push him back at all. His ability to anchor is very good. I mean, lateral movements is not too bad for a guy that's, he's 6'8", 380 pounds. There's just not a lot of human beings that big on planet Earth. And, it's a good combination. Size, massive human being in the tackle, and ability to anchor and not get pushed back. So it sounds like a formula for a coaching staff to really work with this guy. And if you get the most out of him, you could have a tackle that is just, impossible to move, excuse me, and or get around. So like what Falalay brings to the table, I think he could be a good pro in the National Football League, despite some people's concerns about his overall athleticism and his ability to deal with speed rushers because of lateral movement that's not great. But next guy is Evan Neal from Alabama. Why do I love Evan Neal? Evan Neal is an elite pass protector. He showed so many games he was just almost impossible to get around in pass protection. It was part of the main reason why Bryce Young had so much time to throw this year at Alabama, and why Mac Jones had so much time to throw last year, because Evan Neal's just a stud in pass protection. Very good run blocker as well. But I think that, if you're a pass-heavy team, or you're just a team that's, in dire need of a tackle, you're going to fall in love with Evan Neal. And it's a guy that I really don't see getting out of the top 5 in this NFL draft. I have him as my number 1 player on my big board. And, really love what Evan Neal brings to the table. Guard Zion Johnson, interior guard, and then Tyler Linderbaum, the center. Zion Johnson, one of my favorite players in this draft. I think he's going to be a very good starter at the guard position. Guy that can really do it all. Run blocking, pass blocking, ability to anchor. He's got a tremendous body, very strong legs. Very defined calf muscles. Big, strong, powerful quads, and legs overall. Really like what Zion Johnson is going to bring to the table in the National Football League. It's a guy that you can just plug in and start from day one. And I really put an emphasis on guys like that. I love guys that are going to project to start day one right away in the National Football League. And Zion Johnson fits that mold, the guard from Boston College. Center Tyler Linderbaum. Linderbaum is the best center by far in this NFL draft. Just no one moves him, and he's so strong, incredible play strength, just an outstanding run blocker, good pass blocker as well, and was just so good for the Iowa Hawkeyes, and was part of the reason the Iowa Hawkeyes offensive line was terrific this past year in 2021, heading to the Big Ten championship, coming up just shy in that game. But he's a guy that just a competitor, and I love Tyler Linderbaum. Some team's going to get a very good center. Defense, the edge rushers, Jermaine Johnson and Nick Bonito. Nick Bonito is a guy that I watched closely. I really dove into his tape yesterday, and I love his ability to bend and get around the edge. He plays so hard, plays so fast, and he's got a tremendous build, very strong lower body, and just a great athlete in general. Got some Division I offers to play basketball as well, so big fan of what Nick Bonito brings to the table, the former Oklahoma Sooner. And the other edge, Jermaine Johnson. Jermaine Johnson, you know the story. I did a video on him. Absolutely love this guy coming out of high school. Didn't have many Division I offers, so he chose to attend community college. Made the most of that. Became one of the top JUCO recruits. Did some good things when he transferred to Georgia in 19 and 20. Played those 2 years, and then really showed out this year at Florida State. And the dude is really fits the mold of what you want at a defensive end. He's long. He's terrific against the run. Has the ability to anchor in the run game. Can get off of blocks. Has the ability to dominate tackles, drive them back. Win with inside move. Win with quickness to power, speed to power. Whatever you want Jermaine Johnson to do, he can do it for you. So that's why he comes in as one of my top edge guys. Defensive tackle Travis Jones. Absolutely love Travis Jones. He's a guy that just doesn't move, just a big, strong, physical defensive tackle, two gapping ability to, just, he can rush a passer, get off of blocks. He's not super quick. He's never going to be a guy that's going to consistently win with quickness, but can win with swing moves and can really drive, centers and guards back and be dominant against those guys. So, yeah, I love Travis Jones. Wyatt, Jordan Davis are the guys that are really getting highlighted of the defensive tackle class. But Travis Jones, his game is outstanding as well, and he was a highlight of the UConn Huskies. And I don't really like to watch a lot of UConn football. Try to avoid that. It's been a program that's really struggled. But Travis Jones, a bright spot on that defense, and he's a guy because of his size and stature really stands out. And you're saying that that you really can identify quickly who you're watching on tape because of how big he is and how much of a presence he is inside for the UConn Huskies football team this past year. At linebacker, it's Leo Chanel from Wisconsin. I love Chanel is just so good at getting off of blocks, just incredible play strength, real life strength too. It's just, what was it, 34 reps on bench press, 4.5 40, just a tremendous athlete. Yeah, the dude is just a beast for Wisconsin. He's a guy that teams just really just didn't want to have to deal with, didn't want to have to block. And yeah, he's going to be a beast in the NFL, and he's a guy that I think is a guy that you can just plug in right away. Even if say a team that gets him and has good linebackers, this is a guy that you're going to have to get on the field. You're going to have to rotate him in because of, that ability. I love linebackers that can just get off of blocks. Devin Lloyd, who I don't have on this list, but Devin Lloyd is my number one linebacker, and Chanel's right there. Chanel, just the ability to get off of blocks is crucial, and he can do it quickly, and he can work through trash while staying square. He does like some guys when they work through trash, they kind of get pushed back a little bit, bent awkwardly. Chanel can just stay square, rip the defender off of him and just go make a tackle. That's what I love about this kid. The other linebacker I like is Quay Walker from Georgia. Quay Walker kind of can do it all really for Georgia. He showed this year his coverage ability. He showed this year he could shed blocks. He could fly, blitz off the edge, blitz up the middle. Really, there's nothing that Quay Walker couldn't do for Georgia, and he's the reason why he's my number 2 linebacker. He's right up there with Chanel, Lloyd, as far as my favorite linebackers in this draft. So Quay Walker really brings a dominant presence to the game. Is a big hitter too. Tremendous size at 6'4", 240. Ran in the 4.5. So like Chanel, tremendous size, athleticism, and ability to shed blocks. It's a combination for how you end up on Parsh's, the all Parsh in love team. So yeah, Quay Walker is another man crush of mine in this NFL draft, and I think he's going to be a tremendous pro. I actually think he could be one of those guys that goes in the first round, and many people are surprised. But people in the NFL know that he's going to be very good. As safety, it's Lewis Cine. I talked about Lewis Cine, more on this channel. He's a hard hitter. Just really wants to come downhill and punish you. He's a good form tackler, and then has some range, and can play the deep middle. Can cover tight ends and receivers in the slot. I think his ability to do that was very underrated. Can get almost too physical in coverage sometimes. He's going to have to watch that as far as, you don't want to, get in the habit of drawing penalties. But, Lewis Cine really can, there's a lot he can do. He's not quite as good in coverage, as far as man coverage as like Daxton Hill, but Kyle Hamilton. But those guys are exceptionally good at doing that. So, but he's very solid at in coverage, to say the least. So you combine that with his recklessness, no fear of coming up and making hits. That's why he makes the list of players I love in on the defensive side at the safety position. At corner, it's Trent McDuffie. Trent McDuffie was just such a smooth, outstanding football player for Washington this year. He's so smart, so good in zone coverage, and it's an effortless flip into zone coverage, and he can put his foot in the ground, come back to the ball, run in the 4-4. So he's a guy that Zion Johnson, some of the other guys I have on this list. He checks all the boxes. There's really nothing not to like about Trent McDuffie. The only thing is that's holding him back from being maybe the number one player in this draft is he didn't run in the 4.3s. I think that was something people were hoping for. If he ran in the 4.3s, this could be a different conversation. It could be him as far as the top corner in this draft. So, yeah, those are some guys that I love. Hope you guys enjoyed that. So let's get to my mock draft here. Kind of been waiting a while to do this. So let's get it going. Starting with the first pick. This is, remember, guys, this is what I think the team will do. This is not specifically what I would do. This is what I think will happen. So Jacksonville, it sounds like bulky. There's an inside, Brett Coleman on Twitter. If you follow him, or make sure to subscribe to his channel. He has a lot of good football content as far as NFL draft, NFL is concerned. He knows an insider that is connected with Bulky, who's been very accurate, that thinks the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to take Travon Walker at number 1. So, that's how I have the Jacksonville going. Travon Walker, the edge rusher, defensive end, whatever you want to call him, from Georgia. Number 2, the Detroit Lions. It seems like if Jacksonville goes Walker, it seems like the pick is Hutchinson. So the Detroit Lions going Aiden Hutchinson, edge rusher from Michigan. At number 3, the Texans go Kayvon Thibodeaux. And you know that the Texans could easily go tackle. That's what I personally would do if I was Houston. But from what I had heard, I don't know how true this is. It sounds like Houston told Kayvon Thibodeaux if he's there at 3, they were going to take him. So I think that'll be the pick to the Texans at number 3 if Kayvon Thibodeaux's there. At number 4, the Jets get Ahmad Gardner. And, this is kind of a breath of fresh air, and I'm not even a Jets fan because I think the Jets have struggled at the defensive back position other than, when they had Jamal Adams at safety. I'll just say this. They struggled at the cornerback position specifically for so long that you get a guy in Ahmad Gardner who I don't think is the best corner in this draft. I think Derek Stingley's the best corner in this draft, but I think that, what Gardner brings to the table is competitiveness, is willing to grow and improve, even though he's already has a pretty good skill set at this point. The play speed, 4.4 speed, long length. I think what he can do will help the Jets a lot defensively, and I think just getting him will, improve the secondary tremendously. So that's why I like this pick at number 4 to the Jets, and I think that's what the Jets will eventually decide on. At number 5, it's Evan Neal from Alabama. Now, I touched on Evan Neal, just a moment ago in the players I love. I think he's the best offensive tackle in this draft. I think he's the best player in this draft. I think he's right there. The Giants, a team that's struggled on the offensive line, like the Jets in their secondary, the Giants on the offensive line, I've seen them struggle on the offensive line for too long that, finally when you get a guy like Evan Neal, I think that'll be crucial to the success of the offensive line. You hope Andrew Thomas can continue to grow and get better, and you plug in another tackle in Evan Neal, and hopefully we'll get good play out of him. At number 6, this has come from a tweet by Todd McShay of ESPN. Excuse me. The Carolina Panthers very interested and connected to Charles Cross along with the New York Giants. So to me, that's the pick for the Panthers. Panthers are a team that, has needed help excuse me, my throat's a little. Panthers are a team that's, their offensive line has never really been good for a number of years. You get a guy like Charles Cross, who's a tremendous athlete, pretty good all-around football player. I think that'll help out the Carolina Panthers, team that's already got some good pieces on the defensive side of the ball. They could go quarterback here, but I think, get Charles Cross, get your tackle, and, I'm not a Sam Darnold believer, but, another piece like that could be big time as far as, helping him out and seeing if you can get any sort of solid play from the kid. So let me highlight some of the other big picks. So I'll kind of go quickly, and then I'll highlight some picks that I like. Number 7, the New York Giants, George Karlaftis. Number 8, the Atlanta Falcons, Ikem Ekwonu. Number 9, Seattle Seahawks, Jermaine Johnson. Number 10, the Jets getting Jamison Williams. So I actually love I love Atlanta getting Ekwonu. I think Ekwonu is an outstanding tackle. Jermaine Johnson to Seattle. I think Jermaine Johnson, in my opinion, is the second best player in this draft, but I don't think he'll go even top 3, even top 5 from what I'm hearing. But, Seattle, they need help on the defensive side of the ball really badly, and I'd love to see him get a stud edge rusher. I think they would love to see a guy like Jermaine Johnson available there at 9, so I like the pick. New York Jets getting Jameson Williams. You want to help out Zach Wilson. You want to get a sure bet at wide receiver, an explosive guy who can run routes, do it all. It's Jameson Williams. Love that pick at 10. Next pick at 11, the Washington Commanders getting Kyle Hamilton. Washington, been strong on the defensive line. You're going to get Chase Young healthy this year, hopefully. And, you added Kyle Hamilton to that secondary. I think that's I think that's big. Number 12, you got the Vikings getting Zion Johnson. Really like this pick a lot. The Vikings, you kind of secured the tackles positions in Brian O'Neill, and then you got Christian Darrisaw last year in the draft. You get Zion Johnson, a guy that's, like I touched on, is going to start day one. I think that's critical for the Minnesota Vikings. 13, the Texans, Devin Lloyd. 14, the Ravens getting Jordan Davis, like that pick. 15, Derek Stingley to the Eagles. Stingley, huge projection, just hasn't played a lot of football the last 2 years, but if he's healthy, him and Darius Slay, that's a cornerback tandem that you got to love. Malik Willis to the Saints at 16. If you're the Saints, it's already a good roster. It's already a good offensive line. You bring in a guy like Malik Willis who can make some plays on the run, along with a team that's, got a good defense. And you got to like that combination. And it's, an intriguing pick. And, the Saints, another team rumored to get a quarterback. So, why not Malik Willis at 16? 17, the L.A. Chargers getting Garrett Wilson, wide receiver, Ohio State. 18, the Eagles getting Quay Walker, linebacker, Georgia. 19, the Saints getting a receiver for Malik Willis. If he's the starter, they did re-sign Jameis Winston. 20, the Pittsburgh Steelers center Tyler Linderbaum. 21, the New England Patriots getting Chris Olave. 22, the Green Bay Packers George Pickens, a pick I absolutely love. I think George Pickens will be a huge compliment to the Green Bay offense, and a guy that Aaron Rodgers will know how to get the football to. A guy that can play on the outside and in the slot, primarily on the outside though. Cardinals getting Kenyon Green. Cardinals, another team that's needed help at the O-line for a long time. You get a guy like Kenyon Green, who's a great competitive toughness, good run blocker, good pass blocker. Has played guard for Texas A&M, like that pick. 24, the Dallas Cowboys getting Nick Bonitto. Nick Bonitto, this to me screams a Jerry Jones pick. You lose Randy Gregory to free agency. You thought he was coming back, but where you replace him, if you will, with Nick Bonitto, is a guy that can, bend the edge, great play strength, a guy that, plays so hard and is a good complement to Micah Parsons, and another edge rusher that you could use, DeMarcus Lawrence getting up there, and you have Parsons. So, Nick Bonitto, Micah Parsons, who else I got on the defensive line? Also Digizua, Neville Gallimore. It's an exciting pick for the Cowboys. I'm not any Cowboys fans, but I get excited. I get excited thinking about that. Ed Oliver, Buffalo Bills, Devontae Wyatt. I think this Devontae Wyatt would be a huge compliment to Ed Oliver, another pick like the Cowboys pick that would get me excited if I was a Bills fan, because Bills a very good roster. There's not a lot of needs overall, and you get a guy like Devontae Wyatt, him and Ed Oliver on the inside. You spent last year Carlos Basham and Rousseau. You invested in the edge rusher position. You're pretty solid at the linebacker position. Edmonds and Milano, and Devontae Wyatt at 25. What's not to love about Devontae Wyatt at 25 to the Buffalo Bills? Number 26, the Titans getting Treylon Burks. I like this pick a lot because, Tennessee, you're a team that, runs a lot of play action and, heavy involved in Derrick Henry. And then you get a guy that defenses will have to worry about in Treylon Burks, who is just a beast after the catch. And, to me, that's a good fit. And him and A.J. Brown, just two physical receivers after the catch, and, can make contested catches. Another pick I really like. Pick I absolutely love, 27 to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's Daxton Hill. Daxton Hill is one of my favorite players in this draft, and maybe call me biased. I was a Michigan fan. I've watched Daxton Hill play a lot of football. I've watched him play in person this past year, but he's a guy that's just so versatile. Can you play him at outside corner? Yes. Can you play him in the slot? Yes. Can you play him at D safety? Yes. Could you almost play him in the box at strong safety? Yes. There's just so many things Daxton Hill can do. And you saw that the Buccaneers were banged up at corner last year. Jamal Dean and Sean Murphy-Bunting, when they went down, they really needed, a team that could use some depth at the defensive back position. You get him a versatile guy in Daxton Hill. So 28, Green Bay, Christian Watson. I touched on why I love him. 4.36, size, speed, athleticism. It's really so much to love and, not a lot to dislike about the kid. 29, it's Trent McDuffie. Kansas City, a team that's really, needs help on the defensive side of the ball. They just lost Mike Hughes in free agency. They had L'Jarius Sneed there in the secondary, but, you get a guy like McDuffie who can play in the slot and the outside. You got Andy Reid, the Chiefs defense. They got to love the versatility that Trent McDuffie brings. And at 30, I have the Chiefs taking Travis Jones. And, I kind of had second thoughts about, maybe I should have gave the Chiefs a receiver, but I love these two picks. And I think the Chiefs are in good position here because this draft, to me, like my dad and I touched on, there's going to be good defensive players slide, but I love McDuffie and Travis Jones too much not to pass up or to not pick these guys. Travis Jones, I think he's a tremendous compliment to Chris Jones and Frank Clark on the inside, and he is a guy that's just going to help out that run defense tremendously. 31 is Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals, obvious pick is offensive line. I don't really like the offensive lineman available at this point, so I have him getting Lewis Cine at safety. I think him and Jesse Bates would be an awesome tandem. You got Lewis Cine that's going to bring an attitude in a positive way, bring the intensity, bring some violence and hitting to a defense that was, played good in the playoffs, but, wasn't always great throughout all last year. So I like that pick, Lewis Cine to Georgia. 32, it's Leo Chenal from Wisconsin to the Detroit Lions. Love Chenal, and the Lions could go a variety of different ways here. With all the top safeties off the board, I thought Leo Chenal was the best available. Lions need help at linebacker. They're looking for that other guy. Anzalone wasn't great last year. You got Derek Barnes, who had a lot of flashes and was very solid for him. So you get Leo Chenal, him and Derek Barnes. I think will be a very solid linebacker tandem. So you combine him with your edge rusher pick at number 2 and Aiden Hutchinson, and those are picks that are not my absolutely favorite picks for the Lions, being a Lions fan, but very solid picks nonetheless. So yeah, guys, that's my mock draft, and those are players I love. So excited for the NFL draft. It kicks off this Thursday. Make sure to tune in. It's going to be on a variety of different networks, NFL Network, ESPN, ABC's got it. So, it should be fun, and really looking forward to this year's draft. And, I just, it'll be interesting to see, where the quarterbacks are going to go, who's going to be the first pick. It's last year it was Trevor Lawrence. Everyone knew it was going to be the first pick, but be interesting to see what happens this year. So that's all I have for you guys. Thanks so much for tuning in to this episode of Big Time Football Talk. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy content like this. Until next time, peace.